Welcome to episode 4 of the Dan Wilkins Show. Last week we interviewed Val Whiting, the two-time national champion at Stanford and the WNBA player in the 1990s. But today we have our first college baseball guest appearing on the show, and that is Ethan Whitley, who is an infielder at UT Martin and a high school All-American in 2017. So welcome to the show, Mr. Whitley.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Definitely interesting with the guests that have appeared on the show so far. We've got a sports broadcaster, we had an independent leagues catcher, we had a WNBA player, now we have a college baseball player, so we've kind of really gone all around with the guests in this early running of the show, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out from here. But anyways, enough of that, and on to the questions for today's episode's interview. So, going back to the very beginning, when did you first gain an interest in baseball as a young kid?
I gotta tell you, when I first started loving baseball was whenever I saw the movie The Sandlot. I've always kind of grown up around baseball, but whenever I saw the movie The Sandlot, I love that movie. It's still my favorite movie to this day. And I'm number 3 because of Benny the Jet Rodriguez off The Sandlot. Most people think it's because of Babe Ruth, but I tell them no, and it's because of definitely Benny the Jet. But I just grew up playing it. My dad always loved it. He always played it with me. Had some great time for me and him to spend time together and do things together. I met a whole bunch of my best friends through it. So I've been playing it since I was 5 years old, I believe. So
when was the first time that you kind of realized I could really make this baseball thing into a career? When you really started having serious aspirations for getting to the top of the line in baseball?
Well, I would say for me, whenever I was growing up, I always believed that, but it was really in high school whenever I started playing travel ball. I started traveling around the country playing at different showcase, and whenever I first started going to some colleges and, getting some letters from some colleges and some calls, and that's when I really began to feel like I had an opportunity to go to play college baseball and hopefully pursue professional baseball one day. It was just getting out there and playing against other guys from around the country and realizing, hey, I can play with these guys, so I think I have a chance.
So obviously you did make it to the top of the line in 2017 when you won that high school All-American award from the Collegiate Baseball newspaper. How did you originally find out? Was there a award ceremony, or was there something like a phone call that you got from somebody that said, hey, you won this high school All-American award? How did you find out about that?
Well, it was one of those things. I had a really good season. At my senior year, I don't remember all my stats and everything, but our coaches send in nominations for all state awards, district awards and stuff. And I had a coach, he had a connection with the Collegiate Baseball newspaper in the past, and he sent in all my stats. It was kind of last minute, I think. I think the deadline had actually passed, but he was nice enough to send it in, and I received an email letting me know they received my stats, but I didn't actually realize if I made the All-American team until the paper came out. I think I first saw it online. I saw the online printed version of it, and then, of course, I wanted to order a few copy papers myself so I could have a hard copy of it. So I still have 2 or 3 of those laying around. So that was pretty cool for sure. That was an honor for that to happen to me. So I thank God for that happened to me, because that's something I'm always wanted to do, and to be able to accomplish that in high school was awesome. So.
Do you think that award of getting the All-American, do you think that kind of played a role in what schools gave you offers to play college ball? Do you think it helped?
Well, yeah, I think it definitely helped me going in, because at the time when I received it, I'd already signed my national letter of intent to go to UT Martin, and it definitely looked good, because before I even got to UT Martin, the baseball page had, posted it on their website saying incoming freshman, gets an All-American award and stuff, and it was definitely a blessing. It definitely, I'll put it this way, it helped me because it helped the coaches understand how the ability to play, but it also, you kind of, people are expecting things when you get there. They're expecting big things from you, and, it builds up a little hype, I guess you could say, which I think is a good thing. You just have to the main thing is be humble the whole time. That's what my parents told me to do, just be humble. So, I'm thankful for them for always embedding that in me since I was young.
So what was the process like for you to decide what school you were going to commit to? Was there a thing that you kind of had to do with just okay, I got to compare these two schools. I got to be what school is the best for me? What was that process like?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I'll tell you, it's a very stressful process, and if anyone tells you it isn't, they're lying. I promise it's stressful. But so I had my, going into high school and going through high school, I always wanted to go to Ole Miss because I'm like probably 2 hours away from Ole Miss, SEC school, big time. Who wouldn't want to play there? But going throughout high school, I had some times where I had some injuries that kind of set me back a little bit, and I wasn't able to play as much during the summer, and that definitely hurt me. And the main thing I realized is when considering schools, which I would tell anybody, is go somewhere that you can play. Because I looked at UT Martin as an opportunity that they're a Division I school. They play SEC schools, 5 to 10 times a year. I believed I'd have the opportunity to go in there and play, and I got that opportunity when I had to earn it. Like, I had to earn it. I had to, compete against all the other incoming freshmen, the guys that were already there. But the main thing is I figured for UT Martin, it's about 2 hours away from me. It's close. My parents could come and see me. My family could come and see me. If I wanted to come home, I could come home for a little while. And the main thing for me was it gave me the opportunity to have success. And that's what I think was the most important. And that's what really sold me on it. So I don't regret the decision. I love going there, and I wouldn't go back and change it for anything.
So what was the transition like for you? Just like from a competition standpoint, for lack of a better term, what do you think was the biggest transition that you had to make from high school baseball to college baseball, especially in a D1 environment?
Right. I think the most important thing is you have to realize when you get to any collegiate level, and especially Division I, that just about every single guy there was the best guy on his high school baseball team. Like, a lot of times people grow up and they're always the best and the best on their team. But when you realize, hey, I'm not the best. There's a guy's a whole lot better than me. And you just have to outwork everybody. That's the main thing. That's the one thing I've always taken pride in, whether it be with schoolwork, baseball, anything you do, is just hard work. There's nothing you can do to replace that. And the only way to separate yourselves from somebody else is just to work hard. If you outwork everybody else, it's going to show up eventually. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen in a week, a month, or even a year, but it's going to happen. A saying my dad always says is, the cream always rises to the top. And I believe that. And the main thing for me it was the pitching, I'd say. As a hitter and a position player, I would say not that defense is easier, but defense is something you can control a little more. Hitting can be very, very a mind game. It's all mental. And I think the main thing is just the huge difference between high school pitching and college pitching, because in high school, in my high school where I was at, we were in a pretty good division, but the average we saw was 80 miles an hour, and if someone was throwing 85, you thought it looked like Clayton Kershaw up there. But now you get in college, everybody is, most everyone's 90 miles an hour. If you see 85, you're up there like, okay, here we go. Like, not to say anything, like, there's guys who 85 who strike me out left and right. But when it comes to that, like, it's just the speed and the off-speed pitches. And for me, it was a slider. I'd never seen a slider till I got to college. And you look at my numbers freshman year, I had a pretty good freshman year, but you can tell that I had quite a few more strikeouts than I like to have. But that's the main thing. It's just the pitching. That's the hardest adjustment, I'd say.
So, what would you say is your favorite road ballpark to play in? Besides your home ballpark at UT Martin, besides that, what do you think is the best road ballpark that you have played in?
Man, that's a good question. We've been blessed to play in a lot of really nice ones. Trying to think. I would definitely say, which any SEC school is always good, but we went down and played Ole Miss last year, and it was just a midweek game. And they weren't anywhere near sold out, but it was pretty rowdy there. It was a great atmosphere. Guys who played there are blessed to play there, just like anyone who plays college ball is blessed to play there. But I would say that stadium was by far, like, it was nice. It was smooth playing surface, awesome batter's eye. You could see, felt like you were playing in the big league park, honestly.
I mean, when you have a situation in any sport or any collegiate sport where where there's a large school playing a smaller school, you don't really see sold-out crowds, but that's okay because even in, like, major league parks or even in collegiate parks, a sold-out crowd doesn't mean anything because those fans can be as loud as they want to be. So it doesn't really matter to capacity. It just matters to passion of the fans.
Yeah, for sure. You're right about that. And they have a lot of passion down there in Oxford. So, especially the guys in right field, they're always tough on our right fielder down there.
So, just a little bit of a theoretical question here. If you could choose a team to draft you in the MLB Draft, what would it be and why?
I'd say definitely the St. Louis Cardinals, because that's always been my team growing up. I love them. And because, all their minor league teams are within an hour. I mean, usually within probably 4 hours of my hometown. Their AAA team, the Memphis Redbirds, I've grown up watching them. They're like an hour from me. I've grown up watching them, and they're just right around. All the minor league teams are within a pretty small radius, and I just think that'd always be cool because I grew up going to Busch Stadium watching the Cardinals play, and my family loves the Cardinals, and if the good Lord blessed me with that, I'd definitely be happy. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. But I would just take anybody. I wouldn't. If I would prefer them, but I would just take any opportunity I could get. I'd be thankful for that. So,
have you considered or have you gotten any calls from teams at all?
No, I haven't this year. Last year kind of hurt me. I had a sophomore slump my last year. My freshman year going into college, I definitely had some struggles, but I was named a freshman AllAmerican my freshman year, which was a blessing, and I had a lot of attention from that because I had a good amount of home runs, struck out too much. But last year, I got myself in a slump and just didn't have a very productive season, and that was my own fault. But that definitely kind of set me back a little bit. This year, I was having a really, really good season. I had a really good batting average, was hitting some good doubles. I was squaring the ball up well, putting the ball in play a whole lot more, not striking out near as much. And then, the COVID-19 happened and kind of shut everything down. So I haven't had any calls this year. I wish this season would have progressed. We'd have had an opportunity. God only knows what would have happened then. But I pray something happens next year. I hope that opportunity comes. If it does, I'll be grateful for that, and I'll take any opportunity that comes my way.
And I mean, the 2020 MLB Draft, it's only 5 rounds, so there's going to be a lot less picks made by teams, but there's also going to be a large amount of free agents who are going to just be floating around and getting signed a lot more. That seems like that's going to be a lot more common. But in 2021, which is your senior year, you're going to, what's it called? The draft is going to be 20 rounds instead of 5, so they're, gradually bringing it back. So we'll have to see what happens, but, I mean, that would be great for you, because, I mean, there's people in what's it called, that are late round draft picks. They're from small schools. They don't have a lot of attention, but they end up getting drafted, and look what happens to them. So
yeah, absolutely.
So how did you bounce back from that sophomore slump last year? What did you do to kind of break out of it and get yourself back into a regular rhythm?
Well, I think for me, the main thing was coming off my freshman year, being named All-American and all that stuff. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, put a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself to live up to my season before, when I should have just gone out there and just done the best of my ability and just let whatever happen. And I did a lot of praying about it, for sure. I'll tell you that. The main thing I would say that I reminded myself was that baseball is just a game. Professional baseball, college baseball, high school baseball, it's a business. But the main thing is just remembering that it's a game. Like when I was in T-ball, I didn't worry about anything. I just went out there and played to have fun. And that's the main thing I did. Is just go out there, play, have fun, and just enjoy the moment. Because, baseball is not something you can do your whole life. And I wish I could, because I would, because I love it. But it's not something I'm going to have the ability to do for the rest of my life. I pray as long as I can. But the main thing I want to try to do is just go out there and enjoy every single opportunity I have to play. And whenever I did that, that's something that just kind of freed me up. I was still working as hard as I was last year. I had a bad year last year, but that didn't mean I worked any less last year than I did my freshman year. I worked the same amount this year as I did last year. I think it was my mental approach. I just changed my mental approach. And with most sports, and especially baseball, that is the most important thing you can have, is a strong mental head game and a mental strategy going into a game. And I was, and as frustrating as it was, I learned a lot from it, and I'm kind of thankful it happened because I learned a lot about the game of baseball. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about just being able to be persistent. And I think persistency is just being able to overcome those challenges and keep going forward and learning from them instead of getting upset about them, learn from them. And I think that's what gave me a strength. I think it gave me a strength over my competitors because as bad as last year was, it made me a whole lot more mentally tough. And I was able to carry that into the game. And I think that's just something that helped me the most. So as much as last year was tough, I'm thankful it happened because it definitely helped me out this year.
And I mean, baseball is, in one way or another, more mental than physical because, I mean, everything in baseball is mental. Going up to bat and trying to hit the ball, like simple things like that, they are very mental, and they're a lot more mental than like things like throwing a ball in football or taking a shot in basketball. Baseball is a lot more of a mental mind game, and if you don't have the right tools in place to really get inside your head and think, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, there's a huge step that you gotta take, and it's definitely a lot more mental than 99% of the sports that are very prominent in today's world.
Absolutely, Dan, absolutely.
So what would be a message that you would send to ball players around the country who want to play college ball, they want to have just major league aspirations, and they want to be successful just like you have been so far?
Thank you. And what I would say is work hard. Work harder than anybody out there, because no matter what you do, no matter how much natural talent or God-given ability you have, nothing will ever substitute hard work. And hard work is something that I've always grown up on, whether it be baseball, schoolwork, or anything. But working hard and having the ability to work harder than the guy next to you and your competition, that's always something I've taken pride in, because I promise you, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, your job, your life, if you work as hard as you can, when you get done with it, you can look in the mirror and say, I gave it every single thing I did. I worked as hard as I could. No matter how far you made it, and that's something I think you can be satisfied with. So the thing I would say is the most important thing is just work as hard as you can every single day, and just be persistent. If you fail once, get up and try it again. Don't ever quit. Don't ever quit. Just keep working hard and work hard in and out every single day. And just enjoy it is the main thing. Just enjoy it. It's just a game. Just enjoy it and have fun.
I mean, it's basically a fever dream to be able to play D1 college baseball. There's only a few thousand people in the country that are able to say, I play Division I college baseball. You are one of them. I mean, it's definitely something that I think everybody should be grateful for somebody to get an opportunity like that to play. All right, well, that will wrap it up for episode 4. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Whitley.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it, and I'll definitely tune in to the rest of your episodes. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
All right, thank you. So this is Dan Wilkins signing off for now. We'll see you guys next time.